In the midst of the incessant hustle and bustle, there is a constant, subtle whisper that pervades the human experience. The story of a separate I, distinct from the world around us. An isolated island in an ocean of otherness. This persistent whisper of separation shapes the very architecture of our perceived reality, influencing our thoughts, emotions, and actions. We relentlessly seek to fill the void of this supposed individuality, amassing possessions, seeking recognition, and constructing fragile, temporary identities. But what if this visceral feeling of being a separate I were not a fundamental truth, but rather an ingenious construct of our minds, a kind of optical illusion of consciousness? What if the root of our dissatisfaction, our fear, and our relentless searching resided precisely in this belief in separation? At The Silent Way, we delve into the depths of perennial wisdom to question the very foundations of our experience. Today, we draw inspiration from the radical clarity of Wu Hsin, a contemporary master whose perspective directly challenges the notion of an autonomous self. Prepare for a journey that may dismantle your deepest convictions about who you think you are and reveal the underlying unity that permeates all of existence. The illusion of a separate self is not a cosmic conspiracy, but rather the result of a natural process of our mind, the incessant dance of identification. From childhood, we learn to define ourselves through labels, stories, memories, beliefs, and associations. We construct a coherent narrative, our autobiographical self, that gives us a sense of continuity and individuality. Imagine your mind as a skilled weaver, constantly interweaving threads of sensory experience, thoughts, emotions, and judgments to create the tapestry of your identity. Each thread represents a belief about yourself. I am smart, I am shy. A memory, that day I was humiliated. An emotion, I get angry when I'm ignored. Over time, we identify so deeply with this tapestry that we mistake it for our very essence. We forget that we are the observer of the tapestry, not the tapestry itself. This identification is reinforced by language, culture, and our interaction with the world. We learn to use possessive pronouns, my body, my mind, my problems, solidifying the sense of ownership and separation. However, if we observe closely, we will realize that these my's are constantly changing phenomena, flows of energy and information that do not have an intrinsically separate existence. The body transforms, thoughts come and go, emotions fluctuate. What remains constant, the substrate of all this experience, is consciousness, the empty screen upon which the movie of life unfolds. Wu Hsin invites us to direct our attention to this screen. Instead of getting lost in identifying with the characters and the plot of the movie, faced with the realization of the illusion of self, the mind's natural tendency is to try to understand, analyze, catalog, and intellectualize absolute reality. We seek a new concept, a new doctrine, or a new dogma to help us understand non-duality. However, Wu Hsin warns us that this is the final trap, the most subtle strategy of the mind to perpetuate itself. The mind, with its structure based on duality, separation, and logic, is an inadequate tool to grasp that which lies beyond all categories. Trying to use the mind to understand unity is like trying to fill a bucket with a sieve. Intellectual knowledge, no matter how vast, is just a map. It is not the landscape. Wu Hsin says that trying to use the intellect to find truth is like hiring a thief to guard your house. The mind, being the very source of the illusion of self, cannot be the tool for dismantling it. The true path, therefore, is not about accumulating more knowledge, but about unlearning. It is a process of emptying all the beliefs, all the concepts, all the labels, and all the narratives that the mind has constructed throughout life. It is not a state of ignorance, but a state of clarity, of direct and unfiltered perception. It is the journey of moving from I know to I am, from second-hand knowledge to first-hand experience. If the mind cannot lead us to understanding, what is the door? The door is silence. Not external silence, but inner silence, the absence of a constantly chattering self about the past and future, judging and labeling experience. It is in this space of stillness, in this interval between thoughts, that truth can manifest itself. The practice is not about trying to stop thinking, but rather about observing its flow without identifying with it. You are the sky. Thoughts are merely the clouds that pass by. Little by little, by redirecting attention from the mind to the silence that surrounds it, your identification with the thinking self weakens. This leads us to the concept of radical acceptance. Happiness and unhappiness, good and bad, gain and loss, peace and pain. All are part of the dance of life, manifestations of the same unity. When we let go of the need to control, to judge, and to resist what is, suffering ceases. Suffering is not the experience itself, but the resistance to it. By accepting the present moment in its totality, without the filter of the self that wishes things were different, we realign ourselves with the natural flow of life. True peace is not the absence of problems, but the unconditional acceptance of what presents itself, moment by moment. Throughout this journey, we have dismantled the architecture of our perceived reality, understanding that the separate self is not a fundamental truth, but rather a skillful illusion woven by the weaver mind. We have seen that the incessant search for happiness and fulfillment outside of ourselves is, in fact, a cycle of suffering, fueled by this perception of separation. The wisdom of Wu Hsin and of other masters who point to the same absolute reality invites us to end this search, not out of resignation or defeat, but through an act of radical recognition. The self that was searching cannot find the truth, because the self is the obstacle to the truth. Peace, joy, and understanding are not something you will find in the future, but rather your intrinsic nature, your original state. The path, therefore, is not about becoming a better person or achieving a state of enlightenment, but about awakening to what you already are. It is about silencing the mind, unlearning identifications, and returning to the state of pure consciousness that exists before any thought, before any label, before any story. It is about becoming the blank screen on which the movie of life unfolds, instead of getting lost in the plot of the movie. In the end, absolute understanding is the realization that there is nothing to be understood by a separate self, because the self is the only thing that separates you from understanding. The ultimate liberation is the end of the search. It is the recognition that you are the unity, the consciousness, the very life that manifests, and that is the beauty of silence. It needs no words to be understood. If this message resonated with you, if it sparked a new understanding of the illusion of the ego and the nature of your consciousness, then like this video and subscribe to The Silent Way for more profound explorations. Your engagement fuels our shared quest for a deeper truth. Thank you for watching, and may your inward journey be ever illuminating.